Good morning, students. I hope you are fit and fine. Let's start our third chapter. And the name of the chapter was Discovering Truth. The saga continues. In our previous class, we have read that diagnostic imaging can be done with computed tomography or CT, by which hundreds of X-rays in cross section are put together like slices of bread to create the three-dimensional virtual body. Here, the narrator want to say that by CT scan, we can erect a virtual body, a straight body, in spite of that hundred of small X-rays, which looks like a hundred pieces of slices of bread. What more would a CT scan reveal of truth than the X-ray? Then he, he himself answers the question which arises in his mind that what more, what new thing can CT scan can reveal, can tell than an X-ray machine? And could it answer two of the biggest questions still lingering about him? What this word lingering means? Lingering means staying for a longer time. Okay. And could it answer? And he says that, and can we answer the two most long time questions, lingering questions, which has got to so many time asking the same question that what are the two causes why this King Tut got the death? And the question was, how did he die? This two question is lingering. This two question is staying longer time that how King Tut died and how old was he at the time of his death and how old. The two question was what was his age, what was his age, as in is how did he die? How did he die? That these two questions are lingering, staying for the longer time. That what was his age and how did he die? King Tut's demise was a big event. What this word demise means? Demise means that the death of the King Tut. King Tut's demise was a big event, even by royal standards. He was the last of his family line, and his funeral was the death rattle of a dynasty. Now here he want to say that King Tut demise was a big event. It is the reality that whenever king dies, it is always said that this is a big event because common people die, no one knows, but when a king dies, everything had been started shaking down. That's why it is said that this is a big event, and he was the last successor of his dynasty, which was started in the 18th century. Then he was succeeded, and he was presumed that he was the last successor of his dynasty. But the particulars of his passing away and its aftermath are unclear. But the fact that how he died and aftermath are unclear, and who comes after him, there is no any evidence. This thing is not clear. Amenhotep III. It is presumed that He might be Tut's father or grandfather. It is not clear till now that Amenhotep III, this is the name, he was actually a Tut's father or grandfather, was a powerful pharaoh. Again, this word come in the beginning only I said pharaoh. Actually, in Egypt, king is known as pharaoh. Egyptian king is known as the pharaoh. Was a powerful pharaoh who ruled for almost 4 decades at the height of the 18th dynasty's golden age. And Amenhotep III was ruling on the top, means he was in his golden age at the 18th century. His son Amenhotep, and he was succeeded by Amenhotep IV, succeeded him and initiated one of the strangest period in the history of ancient Egypt. And he was succeeded by Amenhotep IV, and he started a new practice was started by him. The new pharaoh promoted the worship of the Aten. The new pharaoh means the new ruler, the new king, Amenhotep IV, has promoted the worship of Aten, has given the what we say, guys, given the promotion, given the provoke over the worship of the Aten, the sun disk, the worship of the Aten, who was the sun disk, and due to this, he had changed his name to Akhenaten because Aten was the name of the god. That's why he had added this word Aten at the back of his name, like this. This was the name Akhenaten. So this here he has used this word Akhe Akhetan, Aten, and he had started the worship of Aten. That's why after his name from Amenhotep IV, he has used the word Akhetan, means added the name of the god, or servants of the Aten, and moved the religious capital from the old city of Thebes to the new city of Akhetan. And because he has moved his practices towards the worship, that's why he had started changing the name of everything, because he has changed his name also, and and has what moves his religious capital, and he had moved his religious capital, means he had moved his capital from Thebes to the new city of Achaean, known now as Amarn. He further shocked the country by attacking Ammon. After this, he attacked Ammon, who was a major god, and smashed and broken. Smashing means breaking, and smashing his images and closing his temples. First of all, he has started the worshipping of Aten, who was the sun disk. Here it is given also the sun disk. And after that, he had attacked on Ammon, who was a major god, and he has smashed and he has broken the images of Ammon, and he has closed the temples so that no one should worship him. It must have been a horrific time, and this is the most fearful time, said Ray Johnson. This is said by Ray Johnson, director of the University of Chicago's Research Center in Luxor. This all thing has been said by Ray Johnson. the site of the ancient Thebes. The family that had ruled for centuries was coming to an end, and then Akhenaten went a little wacky. This now the narrator wants to say that the family that had ruled for centuries, because in the earlier passage we have read that Amenhotep III was a pharaoh in the 18th dynasties, was the golden age. Here now his golden age was coming to an end, and Akhenaten went a little wacky. What this word wacky means? Vacky. Wacky, wacky. In the real sense, this word means crazy in nature, slightly crazy nature, funny nature. Because basically, king are always in serious mode. But here it is said that Akhenaten has changed his behavior. Now his behavior has become wacky. Means funny nature, crazy nature, slightly crazy nature. Okay. After Akhenaten's death, a mysterious ruler named Ismen Khare appeared briefly and exacted with hardly a trace. After Akhenaten's death comes a new ruler, Ismen Khare, but this evidence was not given much. Means his description was very narrower, so that it is difficult to explain, because when a ruler's description is given in a better manner, the better manner can be applied to understand him. Okay. Asman Khare appeared briefly and exactly with hardly a taste. A few topics has been given on him, and then a very young Tutankhaten took the throne. After Ismail Khare, then comes Tutankhaten, who took the throne. After Ismail Khare comes the Tutankhaten, who took the throne. Means now Tutankhaten acting as a king, Pharaoh acting as a pharaoh. Tut, as he widely known today. In short, we known as Tutankhaten. In short, we known as Tut. First three letters had been used. Tut. The boy king soon changed his name to Tutankhamun. Now he also started following the method of Amenhotep IV. He also changed his name to Tutankhamun, living image of Amun. Now Tutankhaten has changed his name to Tutankhamun. Tutankhamun. Okay, and this Amun is again the image of Amun. Means he has used the Amun, living image of Amun, and oversaw restoration of the old ways. Tutan, here Akhenaten used the word Etel, here Tutankhamun has used the word Amun. This shows that they add these words after their name. He reigned for about 9 years and then died unexpectedly. Means, in short, we are using the word Tut. This Tut had ruled for 9 years and he died unexpectedly. Means there was no any presumption that in his teenager age, he might get death. Regardless of his fame and the speculation about his fate, Tut's one mummy among many in Egypt. Means it is not any importance that regardless of his, in spite of his name and fame, what was done with him. Tooth is one of Tooth was actually was amongst the one of the mummy of the Egypt. How many? No one knows. The Egyptian Mummy Project, which began an inventory in late 2003, has recorded almost 600 so far and is still counting. Egyptian Mummy Project, they have been counting that how many Egyptian mummy was there, and they counted that there are almost 600, and this counting is still going on. The next phase is scanning the mummies with a portable CT machine donated by the National Geographic Society and Siemens, its manufacturer. Then the next stage is of the scanning of the mummies. For this, a CT scan machine was donated. This CT scan machine was donated by the National Geographic Society and its manufacturer. Its manufacturer name is SIEMENS. Siemens. It was donated by Siemens. King Tut is one of the first mummies to be scanned. Its CT scan manufacturer was Siemens, and the mummy of the Tut was the first body to be scanned by this CT scan. CT scan full form was computed tomography. A CT machine scanned the mummy head to toe. Now, we always say that in CT scan, head goes first. In the same way, a CT scan machine scanned the mummy from the head to toe. Everything had been scanned, creating 1700 digital X-ray images in cross section. A bit due to CT scan of the whole body from the head to toe, 1700 digital X-rays. Because of this 1700 digital X-rays was done. Truth's head scanned in 0.62 millimeter slices. His head was scanned in 0.62 millimeter slices. Means in this dimension, the Truth's head was scanned. To register its indicate structure, to indicate its internal structure, takes on eerie detail. Takes on eerie detail. What this word mean? Eerie detail. Eerie detail means strange detail. King Tut's eerie details means when his body has been scanned from head to toe, then we get an eerie detail. We get an strange detail. Eerie means strange detail. Strange detail in the resulting image. With Tut's entire body similarly recorded, a team of specialists in radiology, forensic, and anatomy. What this word anatomy means? Anatomy means the scientific study of the structure of the human being or animals. King Tut's entire body similarly recorded, a team of specialists in radiology, forensic means in order to find out how forensic lab in which we find out how the death was taken place, and anatomy, the scientific study of the structure of the human being or animal, began to probe, began to find out the secrets. Probe means to find out to search about, to investigate about the secret that the winged goddesses, of a gilded burial shrine protected for so long. Means that shrine means important. Here it is what given of a gilded burial shrine. In shrine actually means important things. Here we say that important like the important places like temples, mosques, church, all these things had been protected. Here it is said that Tut's entire body had been protected, had been shrine like a temple, like a mosque. Means his body importance is shows that his body was shrine protected. The night of the scan, workmen carried truths from the tomb in his box. The night of the means when the body was scanned in on that day in the night, the workmen carried truths from the tomb. The workman carried the truth from the tomb to his box, like pallbearers, like pallbearers. Pallbearers, like pallbearers, they climbed a ramp and a flight of stairs into the swirling sand outside. Now here the narrator says that the night of the sky means on the night in on which day the night in which the CT scan was done of that mummy of the tooth. That night, workmen carried that tooth from the tomb. Workmen carried that tomb from and then kept that tooth in the box. Means tooth was carried like a pallbearers. This word pallbearers means the persons who carry the body in the funeral on their shoulder. And here a beautiful comparison was done by the writer. He says that here the workmen on in the night of that scan of the tooth, they were carrying the tooth from the tomb to his box like a pallbearers, like the like the funeral they were carrying that tomb, that mummy he was carrying on the shoulder. Like pallbearers, they climbed a ramp. They were carrying the tooth, the mummy of tooth, and they climbed a ramp and a flight of stairs. They climbed, they moved towards the ramp and then towards the stairs to the into the swirling sand outside. Then rose on a hydraulic lift into the trailer that held the scanner. And then what they have done? They were carrying the mummy of the tooth. They moved on the ramp, then moved towards the stairs and moved swirling means to make a fast circular movement into the swirling. Swirling means to make a fast movement. They were doing this thing fastly into the swirling sand outside. They have done this activity in a fast mode. Then rose on a, and then again they stand. They rose on a hydraulic lift. Actually, this hydraulic lift works on the pressure of that water or that air. On that, they moved on that hydraulic lift into the trailer that held the scanner, and then they moved into the trailer that held the scanner. 20 minutes later, two men emerged, sprinted for an office nearby, and returned with a pair of white plastic fans. And after this, after 20 minutes, two men emerged nearby the office. The $1 million scanner had quit. What is what quit means? Quit means gone away, not working. The $1 million scanner had quit because of sand in a cooler fan. And this $1 million, because the price of the CT scanner it was in $1 million, the $1 million CT scanner quit had gone away because of the sand in a cooler fan. Curse of the Pharaoh, joked a guard nervously. Seeing that there was a guard who, who said that, who actually make a joke that, see, you had disturbed this resting king, and on that moment it was written that whoever will disturb this resting king, the misfortune, the death will come. See, because you have disturbed this king from his resting place, that's why this city scanner had stopped working. This is acting as a curse of that pharaoh. Eventually, the substitute fans worked well enough to finish the procedure. Eventually, after that, alternative fans had completed the working. After checking that no data had been lost, the technician turned truth over to the workman, who carried him back to his tomb. After checking, means after completing all the procedure, after completing all the steps which was needed, and they found that there is no any data left. Then technician turned truth again back to his tomb. Less than 3 hours after he was removed from his coffin. Less than 3 hours means less than. This is the time less than 3 hours after he was removed from his coffins. The pharaoh again rested in peace where the funerary priest had laid him so long ago. Less than 3 hours ago. Means for the 3 hours he was away from that town. Now again he came back to his town. Now he got his place where the priest had done the ceremonial, had done the procedures which was followed at the time of death. Now he had reached to that particular place. Back in the trailer, a technician pulled up imaging. Astonishing imaging. Astonishing. What is the meaning? Means surprising. Okay, back in the trailer, a technician pulled up astonishing images of truth. Astonishing means surprising images. Back in the trailer, a technician found a surprising images of truth on a computer screen. Technician found that a surprising image on the city screen, or sorry, on a computer screen. A grey head took shape from a scattering of pixels. What this word pixels means? Pixels. A grey head took shape from a scattering of pixels. Actually, these pixels are the small dots. These are pixels are the small dots like this. Pixels are actually a small dots that make up an image on the computer screen. Okay. So yeah. Pixels are actually a small dots which make a complete picture on a computer screen. A grey head took shape from a grey head means this is the color. A grey head took up the shape from the pixels, and the technician spun and tilted it in every direction. And the technician turned around the head in turned down the head quickly in all the directions.